In today's video, I'm going to show you how to start a martial arts school with basically no money. Okay, you're not going to need a lot of money for this. Very very little. If you have maybe $1,000, then you'll be able to do it this way. Okay, so if you have credit on a credit card or money you can borrow from a friend, and the reason why I brought this up, I'm going to show you here, is I did a little survey on karate nerds, much of people who love Jesse Camp. He's like this awesome martial artist. Does a bunch of YouTube videos. He's a really, really cool guy. But anyway, I wrote a post on here for those who love martial arts and karate, whatever, but don't teach it professionally, but have the skills to do so. What's holding you back? And a lot of the people said answers like they love martial arts, but they don't want to do the business of it, which is cool. I understand that. Some people said for them it's a stress relief, and that if they feel like they're out of business, it'll be stress inducing, which is also fair. Some other people said, "Hey, I'd love to do it, but I just don't have the finances to do it." So, what I'm going to show you in today's video is how we launch our martial arts programs for basically nothing, and that way we have our student base actually pay for our growth. So we don't have to do it as like a lot of money out of pocket and hope it works out. I'm going to show you how to do it with basically no money and be able to grow it or organically, like kind of like bootstrap it, and kind of like test out areas before you dive in. So kind of like you go into a pool and you dip your toe to make sure it's like warm enough, right, before you jump in. It's the same idea. I'm going to show you how to dip your toe into martial arts business without actually jumping all the way in. That way you'll be able to test and make sure it's a good fit for you. Okay, so anyway, if you want to see my post, go to Karate Nerds, search my name in the Facebook group, and you'll be able to see people's comments. Obviously, there's a lot of comments on here, which is pretty cool and actually fun to read. I read every single one. So let me go to here. I'm going to go to my whiteboard. Okay, cool. So here's my whiteboard, and I am the worst drawer possibly in the entire world, so this is going to look like crap. So here's what we do first. The first thing we do, well, not all of it will look like crap, but the first thing we're going to do whenever we want to launch a new location. So that way we have 25 locations at the time you're recording this. We do over $7 million a year in yearly tuition throughout our locations. We have over 200 employees, so we know how to do it. We know how to scale. And we know how to do it for a little money where it doesn't cost us a lot. We've done it where it costs us a lot before, where we just invest in a high income building in a high income area where we think will be really, really good. So we've done that before because we have the cash to be able to do it. However, a lot of times we prefer to do this method as well, especially if it's an area we aren't 100% sure about. All right, so the first thing we do is got to figure out which area we want to open in. And in order to do that, you have to look at, most people just rely on intuition. They're like, okay, I want to do this neighborhood because I see lots of kids walking around or lots of adults walking around or whatever your target demographic is. Maybe you just like that area, maybe where you live. But it might not be the best area to support a business, which is a totally different thing. All right. So first we figure out which area we want to open up at. Okay. And we're going to test the area. Okay. Now, when we want to figure out which area we want to open up at, like we start with our intuition. Like, okay, we might know this area pretty well. This area might be good. This area might be good. So what we do first is we get the demographics of that area. Okay. So you have to get the demographics. There's different websites you can do it. You can do it through what's that website? LoopNet. On LoopNet, at the bottom of the page, you scroll all the way down for certain zip codes. It'll show you the demographics of specific pages. But we always get the demographics of specific areas, of specific zip codes. But we always look at the demographics first. Okay, so here's the demographics we look at. We look at population density. The higher the population, the better. Okay, we look at household income. We look at median income. Because we focus on kids, and we have kids and adults for sure, but we focus on kids first. We look at how many families with kids ages 0 to 3, so that means like upcoming, and then families with kids ages 3 to, I forget what the number is on there, like they have it set up a certain way. I think it's like 3 to 12 or something like that. And these are the first numbers we'll look at. So population density, household income, median income. We used to think that income was the most important thing, how much money people make. But we actually have found over the years that this actually matters even more. Okay, because we have schools that are lower income, but because there's so many people, it's just way easier to have bring in new leads. Okay, so we actually care about this more over time. Is the population density. Okay, so this is what we do first. If you need help with looking into how to find the demographics, you're gonna have to do some googling around, or you can reach out to me privately, and I'll help you figure out how to do it. Okay. Then when we figure out which area you want to open up in, we don't want to just look for a building right away, sign a 10-year lease, or buy a building and then hope it works out. Okay, especially if this is your second, or third, or fourth school, you might not want to like risk it. Also, on an instructor that's unproven outside of your school. Okay. So what we do first, or sorry, what we do second, after we figure out where we want to open up, we don't pick our permanent building. We find a temporary location. Okay. So what we'll do here is I'm going to draw you guys a beautiful picture. Here we go. Shape. I'm going to do that. Okay. What we do first here is we're going to find a temporary. Oh, it's just going slow. Got it. So what we do here is we find a temporary location, and when we search for a temporary location, that's perfect. Okay, so let me put in here temp location. Here's what we look for in a temporary location. We want it to be cheap. Okay, so we don't want it to be expensive. And we can rent it out by the day or the hour, for the hour. And we want it to be in the area that we really want to be a long term. Okay. So sorry, this is like not super pretty, but I'll pretty it up as I'm talking. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So the areas we'll look for this are usually like churches or synagogues. Um, Schools will oftentimes have like an empty room they don't really use. We've used classrooms at schools. Um, what else is good? Rec centers, YMCA's, community centers. Okay, those are areas that they're gonna have a room that you can rent by the hour, and just start with only a couple days a week. Okay, start with only 2 or 3 days a week. Okay, make it simple and easy, and then once you have that, you're gonna have it for 2 or 3 days a week. Okay, what you want to do from there is you want to have a launch campaign. Okay. So from here, before it's ever even opened, we're going to start a launch campaign. Okay. So first of all, you have to do, like I'll make a Facebook page and make a Facebook group, but all that is important. What matters really is the launch because you want people to be in there and be paying members as quickly as possible. So here, you're going to do a launch campaign. Once you have a location, okay? So you have a location, you found a location, you're renting out by the hour. I wouldn't do anything long term. Like we'll do like we'll sometimes we'll do like, okay, we'll negotiate with them. All prices are usually negotiable with these places. And we'll do like, hey, we'll commit to 10 weeks, okay? And then we'll create a launch campaign, which means in the launch campaign, what we'll do is we'll go into things like community Facebook groups. So let's say the name of the community is Fairfield or something like that. So you go to the Fairfield Community Facebook group and you just post something like, "Hey, we're opening up a martial arts school in the area. We're doing launch day at this time. Here's how you register." Okay, and have like a link with your name, email. If you want to be like really ninja, okay, and like you are unsure exactly which time you want to be in, but you're pretty close. I've done this before, and this has worked amazing. I'll go into every community Facebook group like in the area. Okay, so I'll say the areas are right next to each other, and I'll say, "Hey, I'm running a survey where to open up our next martial arts school, and I want to hear from parents and families to see where we should open up. Can you let me know?" And then I'll have like a Google form, something simple and easy, and then people will vote which community in the area. So they'll have like a little drop down of different communities. They'll pick it, and then I'll collect their name and email and number, and I'll say, "Hey, if we open up in this area, would you be interested in martial arts classes? If so, click yes or something, or if so, type yes." And then we got a ton of leads before we ever opened. just because of this. So you're not asking people, hey, give me information. You're saying, hey, where do you think we should open up? And people like in the community groups that care about community development, so they're going to want to give their opinion. Okay, this is I'm telling you. I think before we even like did anything, I had like 60 something leads just from like one post that I did in a couple different community groups, and then those are people we reach out to for our launch. Okay, so then we're going to do a launch campaign, community Facebook groups. That's usually how we do it. Of course, you can run ads if you have a budget for it and know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it or you never ran a martial arts school before, and don't run ads. Do everything organically because you don't pay for it. That way, you figure out the sales process and the systems and everything you need. That way, you're not paying for those mistakes with money. You're only paying for those mistakes with time. Okay. You should only run ads when you know that your offer works and you have a system to make it happen. Okay. So next thing you do is run ads. By the way, if you have multiple schools, like we do, then we'll announce at the other schools, hey, we have an opening at this blah 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 location. If you have any friends or family that might want to open up or that live in this area, please let them know. Okay, but if not, it's like your first school, then it's free for you. Okay, so you can post a community Facebook group, run ads. I would text everyone you know. So go through your phone, text someone you know, hey, I'm opening up a school in blah 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 area. Do you know? And don't say, hey, are you interested? Say, hey, do you know anyone else who might be interested? Okay. And if they're interested, they'll raise their hand and say, oh, it'll be me. So ask if they know anyone else, not if they are interested, because they're interested, they'll automatically just say. Okay. So that's like an easier way to ask. Okay. So you're going to launch the campaign and through community/Facebook groups. Okay. Then, let's see if I can draw this out. Okay. All right. So now from here, oh, I like these fancy arrows. All right. Now from here, we're going to have our launch. Okay. So we were preparing our launch campaign. And of course, you want to make sure you text and call people to remind them about it. I would just do like a free class. That's usually what we'll do. We'll do a free class for kids 3 to 6 years old, and then a free class for kids 7 and above, and then a free class for adults if you want to do that and really get at it. And we'll have we'll A, make sure everyone reserves their spot. We have a lot of information. B, we'll let them know, hey, that night we're going to have a special offer for people who want to continue. Okay? So if you love the class and you want to join, we'll have a special offer for that night only for people who join. That way they come in and they know to expect that. Whenever people know to expect that there's going to be some sales part, they're more open to it mentally. Okay? When they don't expect it, all of a sudden they hear some sales pitch, they're like, oh my God, like this is annoying. Like I want to get out of here. Okay? So always let people know, hey, if you love it, we'll have an offer at the end for people who want to continue training. Okay. Then you're going to have your launch day. All right. Now, your launch day, you want to have an irresistible offer. Okay. So you don't want to make your offer like, hey, this is $5 for 6 months of training. Okay. You want to have an offer that's irresistible. If you don't know what that means exactly, it means an offer that, like, if you are interested in martial arts, it's like a no-brainer to join. But here's the deal: it cannot be cheap. Okay, because you're gonna need these people to fund the program going forward, to fund your rent for the next whole week, to fund the printing of your flyers, to fund you purchasing uniforms and gloves and any other equipment you might need. Now, I would not buy all that equipment up front. I would just start with this. You literally use like one or two bags. If you don't need a lot, don't waste a lot of money doing all that stuff in the beginning. Because remember, we're dipping our toe in before we go in deep. Okay. So launch day, we're gonna have an irresistible offer. We're gonna have a free class. Okay. And then at the end of the free class, this should really come first. At the end of the free class, we give the irresistible offer. Now, the irresistible offer will usually have something like, hey, you're going to get 10 weeks of training, you're going to get unlimited classes, you're going to get a uniform, you're going to have a chance to earn your first belt, you're going to get 3 private lessons, you're going to get blah, 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 whatever you can include, and make it a lot of money, okay? Make it worth like $1,500 or whatever. Make it worth a lot of money, okay? Well, it's like actually they're getting a lot. Don't give them too many things like equipment because that costs money. You can give them like things that maybe take a little bit more time, which are not going to cost anything, okay? Now, once we have that irresistible offer, okay, what you're going to do is, hey, this program is, or this 10-week program is worth, let's say, $1,500, but we want to reward the people who came into our first day and thank you guys for coming out, going on a limb. So instead of being 1,500 today, you're gonna get everything I talked about for only 500. So you get $1,000 off. And they go, whoa. Plus, then you'll add some bonuses. You'll get a patch for your uniform that only people or the first 100 members get. Okay, and they go, oh wow, that's amazing. And you'll get blah 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 blah. Oh, and you'll get a picture in front of our sign that says founding member, and we'll have like a little like whiteboard that says founding member number, and I'll take a picture with it, and we'll post it on Facebook, and I'll, like those will be the founding members pictures of people that join, and people love being a part of something, especially with the launch, because they feel like they're building it. Okay, and by the way, these people are going to be your biggest ambassadors to have their friends and family join too. Okay, so you have an irresistible offer that's not cheap. Okay, don't make it cheap. All right, that could go to the worst thing you could do because you're gonna need this money to grow the school. So it to be not cheap, I would say I'll wrap about $500. I don't know, anywhere I'll say between 300, 300, $500. I want the money up front. Okay, so I'm gonna say yes. It's by the way, I was like 3,500. I was like $299 to $499. Okay, um, and make sure to have a money back guarantee. Like, hey, if you come to all the classes during your 10 weeks and you don't love it and you don't think it's amazing, we'll give you your money back. Okay? But it has to be a conditional guarantee. Like, hey, they have to do these certain things. They have to come to class, at least 2 times or whatever. Otherwise, people will just do this and a week later say, hey, we don't want to do it. So it has to be conditional. And by the way, like, you think people are going to get the refund or ask for a refund? They don't. If they come for 10 weeks and they come consistently and they don't love it, well, then you did a terrible job. But I'm telling you, no one's really going to ask. Like, it's super, super, super rare. So anyway, you put the money back guarantee, you're going to collect this money, okay? And you're going to have very limited, the other thing you need, sorry, I have to put it in here, is very limited class sizes. And usually you have that anyway because you're in a temporary space, which is small, okay? This could be like a classroom. How many people can you fit in a classroom? Like a regular school-sized classroom, like, I don't know, 12, 15 max, okay? So you'll tell people we only have 15 spots, and once it's filled, it's filled. You can't add any more, which is true. You cannot add any more. So there's scarcity, like, hey, we don't have that many people. We can only have a certain amount of people. And there's urgency, because if they do it today, they'll save $1,000 off, plus they'll get the bonuses. I'll keep the money the same cost when they do it today or the next day, but the bonuses will be that day when they join. Okay? And once again, there's a money back guarantee, so you should feel safe because it's literally no risk. Okay? Then you're going to collect a bunch of money. Okay? So I'd assume you would, let's say you sign up 5 people. Okay? Now you have $2,500 to play with. Great. And then you'll do the same thing the following week, and then the week after that for a couple weeks, and you'll build up more. You'll build up between 5, 10, maybe even 15 grand in cash, which you have all at once. You're not really waiting for. Okay? Now, once those classes are completely full, by the way, after this, I would just sell your normal monthly membership. I would just do this in the beginning just to collect cash that I can use to invest in the business. But once it's completely full, okay, like your classes are full and you can't add any more, like you have your first, I'll say you have one class of 15 kids, another class of 15 kids. Once your classes are completely full, then you can migrate over onto the full-time school. Okay, this would be, I would consider full-time school, maybe higher rent, better area, maybe in a shopping center, full-time school. But this process usually depends on the location, but it's usually like a 6 to 12 month process. Okay, so, and the reason why we do it this way also is because if we have an instructor that hasn't ran a business before, especially a martial arts business, we want them to make all the mistakes while it doesn't cost us much. Like if they say the wrong things or mess up stuff, don't know how to use the software, I'd rather them figure out the systems while things are really, really cheap and before they move into the system. And if it's you doing it, I'd rather you make all those mistakes while it doesn't cost you a lot of money, and then you'll iron out all those mistakes. And then when you have a full-time school, it's not, and you're able to, let's say, have a budget to maybe run ads if you want to, do bigger programs, do whatever you want, or hire staffing, then you'll have made all those mistakes already, and it's not going to cost you a ton of money. So anyway, there's obviously lots of little like things that happen in between, but this is our general journey. We go from like nothing, like hey, like we have very, very little money, to full-time school, And this could happen very, very quickly. Like this first thing over here, like this first part, this should take 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, it shouldn't be a long time. We've gone from like this to the launch in literally 2 to 4 weeks. That whole thing, like it's very, very fast. If you can get it done quickly, you just have to hustle and market and make sure to remind people about everything along the way. What classes are, what times. We'll start with like we'll start this with just like a couple days a week, like 2 to 3 days a week. Okay, so we keep it very, very simple. But then once we have full time school, okay, then it'll be full time, which is like 5 to 6 days a week. All right, cool. So if you have any questions about how this works, you can reach out to me directly at matthew@wdojo.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Matthew Brenner, or Instagram. I check for that probably the most at Black Belt Brenner one, the number one. At Black Belt Brenner one. So if you have any questions how this works, once again, it's an overall guideline. I can't do like every single detail and everything in between because there's obviously a lot that goes to it, but this is the overall guideline, the framework that we use to go from the literally zero to a full-time school in less than a year, and with having our student base pay for it, so we don't have to take out giant loans or anything like that. Hope this is helpful. Talk to you later.